Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jeff, and today we're going to have some fun talking about a new deck in Ravnica Allegiance. Real quick, we are doing the Ravnica Allegiance spoiler event right now, or pre release event that I'm sponsored by Wizards of the Coast. So, thank you so much for sponsoring me today. And I did a whole Ravnica sealed event, and it ended up being like 2 hours long because I went pretty far. Uh, that video wasn't going to be able to get up in time, so I want to do a really quick instant deck tech real quick for you guys to get something up today. That other video will go up either tonight or tomorrow, and we're gonna have tons of content like this, some really good deck play because we are into Ravnica Allegiance finally. So this is the deck today. We're talking about Afterlife Tribal, and before we get into the full deck tech here, please leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff, so you can see more videos of my content here. Would really appreciate it. All right, so Afterlife Tribal. So first off, everything's kind of built around Teysa Carlo. So there's two big cards that this is built around, and mechanics, I guess. But Teysa Karlov, two a white and a black, legendary human advisor. A creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger. So that's any ability of a permanent. That ability triggers an additional time. Creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink. So this is awesome. So it works really well with all of our Afterlife abilities. So Afterlife, what it is here, it says when this creature dies, create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. And so we have a ton of these creatures, which just happen to be all in like our 2-drop slot. So our curve is a little funky in this one. We have like a million 2-drops, but we are also playing, as you see here, a bunch of dual colored cards. And so what we're trying to do with this is we're also playing another one of the most janky cards in the new format is Glass of the Guild Pack. So multicolored cards creatures you control get +1/+1. And so we have some really fun stuff we can do. So everything in here. So first off, our Imperious Oligarch. So our our spirits that come out are white and black. So they are multicolored spirits, and so all of our spirits are getting pumped up by our Glass of the Guild pack, by our Teysa Karlov at least gives them lifelink and vigilance, so kind of a pump there, as well as our Ethereal Absolution, which gives all creatures +1/+1. So that's kind of the plan of this deck. I was thinking of running a couple Radiant Destinies as well, based on spirits, but I was noticing that we have so many dual-colored creatures in this that it actually works out pretty well. And so Imperious Oligarch is another one here, Penniless Pontiff. So let me go ahead and kind of go through like what we want to do with this deck, because I do want to go through every single card, but I'm going to go ahead and put the deck list down below so you guys can kind of check out exactly. But this is the idea of it. So we have Tithe Taker, which again has Afterlife. During your turn, spells your opponents cast cost 1 more to cast, and abilities your opponents activate cost 1 more to activate unless they're mana ability. So on your turn, this is basically stopping them from doing as much stuff. Like Izzets can't really do as many things. If you get this guy down, they can't necessarily shock it right away because they've usually spent up the mana, or if they do, they're going to have to spend 2 for a shock. And so like there's a lot of good things that this does. And then again, if they do kill it, and it kind of gives them benefit to kill this guy because it's useful, especially against control type decks, we have the Afterlife trigger. So all board wipes really don't work very well against these Afterlife stuff because we want them to die. We want to die. The only thing that really works well is like a double Deafening Clarion or the Cry of the Canarium, which let me pull that up real quick for you guys because that is an important one. So Cry of the Canarium does exile everything that it kills that turn, and it's a -2/-2. So like that is the worst possible card for this deck, but that's what we're around. So let me bring this back up. So the one card I didn't decide to put in here was Ministry of Obligation. It's like the only one with Afterlife that's in the early turns. You could put this one in because getting 2 creatures with Afterlife makes this really worthwhile. So I could see this being put in instead of some of the other ones. But the idea that I wanted with this is I wanted some way to make sure I can actually get my Afterlife creatures, especially once we get the Teysa Karlov out. She's really only useful with our Afterlife creatures. So we needed to have a couple of Pitiless Pontiffs, which when you sacrifice another creature, you can pay 1 and sacrifice it. He gains Death Touch and Indestructible until end of turn. So a really powerful creature, I think, that can be big, especially if you start pumping him up to where he's a 3/3 or 4/4 with a Glass of the Guild pack or whatever else. he's indestructible and swinging in every turn, you're going to get some damage in or be trading off with their creatures pretty easily. And so I really like this Pitiless Pontiff. I think he's good. We have Imperious Oligarch, which can also be doing that. Same type of thing, or it's mostly just for Afterlife, but it also can be pumped by our Glass of the Guild pack. They're not wanting to get rid of it because then our spirits are going to come back stronger. Or Orzhov Enforcer, same type of thing. It doesn't actually get the pump, but it is a death touch creature. It's a good blocker, so we can still be swinging in aggressively and have it on the back end. So the exact numbers of this deck, I'm still working out totally, and I'd love to hear your guys' comments as well. But this is, I wanted to show you at least the idea of what we can be doing with this as we went on. So next off, so we do want Kaya Orzhov Usurper as well, because in this deck we can exile with Ethereal Absolution, and I actually like this because it's a great way to finish them off. Even if they only get a few cards exiled this way, or we're trading off with a few our Death Touchers, whatever, Kaya actually can end up getting us in the last 5-6 points of damage, which is a big deal. So I did decide to go ahead and include one copy of Kaya in here because I think it's actually decent. Also, exiling something that's small that we don't want to trade off with, like with our Death Touch or whatever, is still something useful. Like we can get rid of the Llanowar Elves or something else that is still on the board that's useful that we can kind of just eliminate so that we can get in for more points of damage. So I like this. We also include one Mortify. We have our final payment to kind of sacrifice our creatures as well to still get in a good removal. So we want to kind of sacrifice our guys, get more spirits out. Same thing with Costly Plunder. Make sure we're drawing into our Taste of Karlov, making sure that we're drawing into our Glass of the Guild pack and Ethereal Absolution, our lands. Guild Mage's Forum. I decided not to put in our Guild Gates and instead went with Guild Mage's Forum because you can pay 1 and tap it to add 1 mana of any color, and then that creature gets a +1/+1 counter as well. So that would work well with the Pitiless Pontiff. With our Imperious Oligarch, it protects our Taste of Karlov a little bit more in the later turns if we end up getting it later. And then our Seraph of the Scales, which is probably just the best card altogether in our deck. It's 4/4 with flying. You can pay white to give it Vigilance until end of turn. You can pay black to give it Death Touch until end of turn. And when it dies, it gains Afterlife too. So not too shabby at all. So anyway, this deck I think is really, really fun. There's some fun things you can do with it, including Open the Graves. You can pay 5 mana. It's an enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So again, we can double up all of our triggers. So we can be swinging in with Taste of Karlov. We swing in with our 1/1s or 2/2s, and they just kind of ramp up to where it's like, okay, there's a lot of damage coming through, and eventually I'm going to have to stop it. And then when they kill it, all of a sudden we're maybe getting 2/2 zombies. We're getting our lifelinkers. And so let me know what you guys think of this deck. There's some really fun things we can do with it. So again, like I said, the deck list is in the description down below. You guys can kind of look through it all. I like to give more of the concept, the idea of a deck, because that's what I like, is like, okay, this is the type of thing we can do. The exact numbers, I think everyone is going to change up a little bit because everyone has different cards, especially in this type of format where you're getting stuff on Arena, everything like that. And so let me know if you guys want me to go through every single card in these, but I don't think that's not typically how I like it. I was like, oh, this is the idea. This is the thing that you could do, and it's super fun. And these are the pieces you absolutely have to make it work. Anyway, that's the kind of thing I want to be doing with you guys. If you guys want it differently, let me know. Also, Kaya's Wrath, I think, works really well in this because we can destroy all of our creatures. It's kind of a one-sided board wipe, especially if we have Glass of the Guild pack out, because we can wipe everything, get a ton of our spirits back, and destroy whatever was big on their side of the board. So I included it as a one of. We also gain life back as well, and then we can just have a big swing in on the next turn. So anyway, there's some really, really fun things I think you can do with this. And I'm actually surprised Glass of the Guild pack works really well with the spirits. And so anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, all that stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much, and bye-bye.